Class 1. Discussion regarding syllabus of modern Indian history. Decline of the Mughals, rise of regional powers, autonomous states like Rajput, Mysore, Travancore, rebel states like Marathas, Jat, Sikhs, Afghan, etc. Successor states like Haryana, Hyderabad, Bengal, Awadh, etc. Why did Maratha not become an all India power? How did the British become an all India power? Rise of Indian national movement. First Battle of Panipat 1526. It was fought between Jahiruddin Babur versus Ibrahim Lodi. Ibra- the Lodi dynasty was the last empire of the Delhi Sultanate. Babur was in search of kingdom for himself and this battle was the culmination of conflict between Babur and Lodi. It was the first major battle where gunpowder and field artillery, a small bronze cannon, was used, which is why Babur won despite a small army. Therefore, Babur founded the Mughal Empire in 1526. Second Battle of Panipat 1556. Fought between Akbar, 13 years old. The army was led by his guardian Bairam Khan and Hemchandra Vikramaditya of Rewari or Hemu, the most important minister and military general of Suri dynasty. Babur was succeeded Humayun, who was defeated by Afghan invader Sher Shah Suri, set up the rule of the Suri dynasty 1540 to 55. In 1555, Humayun defeated Suris but then died in 1556, and now the Hemu recaptured power. Therefore, the second battle of Panipat was fought by the Akbar to establish the Mughal Empire in India. Mughal Empire chronology. Babur 1526 to 30, Humayun 1530 to 40, Akbar 1556 to 1605, Jahangir 1506 to 1627, Shahjahan 1628 to 58, Aurangzeb 1658 to 1707, Bahadur Shah 1707 to 1712, Jahandar Shah 1712 to 1713, Farrukhsiyar 1713 to 19, Muhammad Shah 1719 to 1748, Ahmad Shah Bahadur 1748 to 1754, Alamgir II 1754 to 59, Shah Alam 1760 to 1806, Akbar II 1806 to 1837, Bahadur Shah Jafar 1837 to 1857. Mansabdari system. It was the military bureaucracy system of the Mughals established by the Akbar. That is, official had dual function of civil and military function. Mansab is a post/office and Mansabdar is the holder of occupant of Mansabs. There were two types of Mansabdars on the basis of mode of salary. Naqdi Mansabdar, they were paid a salary in cash. Jagirdar Mansabdar, they were paid in the form of allocating a Jagir. The land revenue from the Jagir land went to the Jagirdar. Jagir is a land whose land revenue goes to Jagirdar, and Jagirdar is a holder of Jagir. Jagir was of two types. Tankha Jagir. These Jagirs could be transferred from one to another. Mansabdar could be taken away from the Mansabdar by the king. All of the revenue goes to the Mansabdar. Watan Jagir. The word Watan means hereditary. It was given permanently to a person and become hereditary Jagir. It is non-transferable. 10% of land revenue from Watan Jagir went to the king as tribute/peskas. as here king gave up the right to take away Jagir, therefore need to be compensated and tribute act as a Watan Jagirdar, recognizing the sovereign authority of the king. The criteria for becoming Mansabdar was the lineage, family background. Every Mansabdar had a dual rank. Jat, it is the personal rank. Sawar, it is the number of horsemen a Mansabdar is required to the maintain for the king. For example, Jat is equal to 3000 and Sawar is equal to 1500. Their net rank is 4500. The emoluments of the Mansabdar were equal to his salary and allowance for the maintenance of the army as per his Sawar. More important nobles were Jagirdar Mansabdar and less important ones were Nagdi Mansabdar. Watan Jagirs were given to those who were very powerful Mansabdar. Corrupt Mansabdar could not maintain any army as per Sawar, therefore would try to make personal money to be ideally spent on the army or ever extracted land revenue from Jagir. Mughal empires were dependent on Mansabdar for the maintenance of the army. Therefore, in the Mansabdari system, a give and take relationship existed between the king and Mansabdar. The king gave Mansab and Jagir, and in return, Mansabdar gave his loyalty and maintained the army of the king. Therefore, there existed personal loyalty, and it's the king does not give the desired mansabs and Jagir, then it may lead to disloyalty toward the king. Class 2. Khalisa land. The land of the kingdom was the Jagir, transferable and non-transferable, or Tankha or Watan. Khalisa land was the royal land, and the land revenue of this land went to the king. The land revenue system of the Mughals, Jamindars. Jamindars collected land revenue and the police duties, and it returned for their service. They got a commission. Therefore, Jamindar was not the owner of the land from the which he collect land revenue. Jamindar had Watan, hereditary right of revenue collection. We could collect land revenue from the other land, but would always pay land revenue from his land, which were called Milkiyat. Nankar land. These were the land of Jamindar, which were declared tax-free/revenue free in return for providing service of revenue collection. Primary Jamindar. They collected land revenue from peasants/ryots/actual cultivators. He also collected avobs, additional levies, over the above the land and revenue from peasant. Ryots paid land revenue as per the recorded percent in Pattas document. Therefore, Pattas system prevented over extraction. Intermediary Jamindars. They collected land revenue from the primary Jamindars. They passed it on to Jamindars or the estate. Peasant were two kinds. Khudkast, those with occupancy right. They could not be removed from the land they cultivated. They kept occupancy rights as customary/traditional rights since they had cultivated a particular piece of land continuously for a long time. Pahikas, they were landless, rightless peasants. They did not have occupant rights as were Vargant peasant, that is cultivated different land in different season. Izaradari system, where the right to collect the revenue as auctioned to the higher bidder. Those who owned the auction were called Izaradar. They were men of money like merchants and money lenders who were outsider to the traditional rural economy. They would collect land revenue but may also collect taxes on the shopkeepers and merchants over the above or winning the auction. He may pay revenue in the advance to the Jagirdar or the estate and later collect it from the area, or may pay particularly in the advance and rest later. If he failed to submit the agreed amount, then the right to collect revenue could be re-auctioned. Jahandar Shah introduced the Ijaradari system and it grew during the Aurangzeb and expired rapidly in the 18th century. It was introduced by Jahandar Shah 1712 to 13 in Punjab and Bengal, later in Awadh and Hyderabad. Farooq Shir introduced it even in Khalisa land. Under the British, it was introduced as a farming system in 1772 in Bengal, and Ijaradar was the called a revenue farmer who owned the right to collect land revenue in the auction. The Ijaradari system was introduced when there was a shortfall in revenue collection or when the Jagirdar who the estate wanted to maximize land revenue collection. The decline of the Mughals. Role of Aurangzeb. Continuous warfare. Mughal Empire reached its territorial peak. However, seeds of decline were also sown during Aurangzeb regime. Aurangzeb engaged in the continuous warfare for roughly 40 years, which drained resources for the Mughal Empire due to the high cost of war. These wars also hurt over land trade due to the decline of production and law and order instability. These wars also increased the economic burden on the Mansabdar, who were required to maintain an army for the emperor. Therefore, war contributed to the economic decline of the Mughals. Aurangzeb wanted to capture the whole of Deccan and annex Golconda in 1687 and Bijapur in 1685, the two autonomous Muslim kingdoms. However, he failed to defeat the Marathas conveniently, and by the 1705 Marathas began winning after 1707. They reserved most territorial gains and the Aurangzeb in first half of the 18th century. Therefore, in the end, these wars proved fertile. Therefore, Marathas become reason for the military and territorial decline of the Mughals. The religiously decisive policy of Aurangzeb. They alienated the masses, for the example, the application of jizya on non-Muslim and additional tax, and not preparing temples and reducing the allocation of land to temples. He also demolished some important Hindu temples. Aurangzeb executed important leaders which contributed to the alienation of the masses. For example, ninth Guru Tegh Bahadur IV Sikh was executed in 1675, and Sambhaji, elder son of Shivaji, was executed after 3 weeks of torture in 1689. Both also refused conversion to Islam. Institutional failure/governance failure. Impersonal loyalty could not develop in the Mansabdari system, which was the core of the Mughal system. Therefore, what existed was the personal loyalty to the king, which is a partner Mughals emperor client Mansabdar relationship, that is give and take relationship, where partner gave mansabs and jagirs, then in return client gave the loyalty and an army. Most post Aurangzeb weak Mughals emperor failed to maintain the balance of power in Mughal court among the Mansabdars. therefore failed to keep Mansabdar under control. If the king was unable to satisfy Mansabdars with desired Jagir, the Mansab then disloyalty among Mansabdar took root. Class 3. Military weaknesses. Mughal state was a military state, not a nation state. A nation is people who feel while the country is a territory. The state is an organization that manages the affair of the nation and country. A state/organization created by the people/nation is nation state. Poor military due to the lack of technological and organizational reforms. Weak war commanders, especially after Aurangzeb. Military corruption. Example of non-maintenance of the army as per Sawar due to disaffection and the Jagirdari crisis. Fractionalism, group politics. Post Aurangzeb, there were continuous succession dispute and fractionalism increased. This also led to competition between different groups of Mansabdars like Irani groups, Shia and had the Persian origin. Humayun took the help of the Persian for recapturing power in 1555. Thus, their presence as Mansabdars. Turani groups from the same origin as the Mughals, Hindustani groups, converted Indian Muslims, Dakhni groups, nobles of Golconda and Bijapur, who were made Mansabdar by Aurangzeb. After defeating Golconda in 1687 and Bijapur in 1685, Hindus, mainly Rajputs, the able Mansabdar acted selfishly and instead of strengthening the central authority, then focused on carving out their principalities. Jagirdari crisis of 18th century. Aurangzeb annexed Golconda in 1687 and Bijapur in 1685, and then nobles of these kingdoms were captured as a Mansabdar and back to be known as the Dakhni group. However, Aurangzeb converted most of the land in these kingdoms into the Khalisa land as he wanted to fund his future warfare against Marathas. Therefore, the numbers of Mansabdar while land under Jagirdari did not. Emperor post Aurangzeb appointment more Mansabdars for political reason, that is, to win the support of the different groups of the Mansabdar, either to come to power or to stay in power. There was also inequality among Mansabdars as 50% of the Mansabdar controls 61% of Jagirdari land. Therefore, there was a insecurity among small Mansabdar. In the 18th century, there was an inflation in luxurious goods due to high export to Europe by the European trading companies as Wazir Nizam tried but failed to convince the elite Mansabdar to the redistribution of Jagirs. Now the smaller Mansabdar found it hard to maintain the selfishly, adding to the insecurity. Impact of the Jagirdari crisis on the 18th century. Many Mansabdar stayed Jagirs less for years. Insecurity among Jagirdar due to the frequent transfer of the Jagirs to another Mansabdar, while is the insecurity of the tenure of holding Jagir. Therefore, now there was an increased operation of the riots and primary Jamindar as a Mansabdar wanted to extract as much land revenue as possible from Jagirdars. Now there is a great spread of the Jagirdari system as Mansabdar. Jagirdar tried to maximize his earnings. Due to insecurity of tenure, no incentive for Jagirdar Mansabdar to invest in the productivity of the Jagirdar, therefore hurting the income of riots. Peasants revolt in the 18th century were the product of the Jagirdari crisis, and they were led by the Jamindar, who were traditional leader of the rural society. For example, the Jat kingdom set up the Churaman Jat, a Jamindar, was the product of the peasant revolt. Therefore, Jagirdari crisis hurt political stability. The Jagirdari crisis led to military corruption by the Mansabdars, therefore contributing to the military weaknesses. Group politics increased as Mansabdar competed for Jagirdar even more. The Mughal state was a military state, and when the military weakened, the state weakened. The proof of the decline of the Mughal Empire. The Jahandars had come to power after executing the father of Farooq Siyar, who come to power with the help of the Sayyid brothers of the Hindustani group. But the Farooq Siyar wanted to free himself of control of Sayyid brothers, therefore planning to get rid of the Sayyid brothers, who when aligned with the Maratha to executed Farooq Siyar in 1719 and placed Muhammad Shah in power as a puppet emperor. Nizam ul Mulk of the Turani groups allied with the Irani group and defeated Sayyid brothers and restored the status of Muhammad Shah. From 1720 to 24, Nizam served as a wazir. Mughal post Aurangzeb are called later Mughals, who were weak rulers with weak personalities and not increased in the administration. For example, Muhammad Shah come to be known as a Rangila, as he spent the most time in the detached from the political and administrative issues. Beginning in 1705, Maratha began defeating the Mughals. In 1719, they were successful in placing Muhammad Shah as puppet ruler and extracted some gain. In 1737, Peshwa Bazi Rao plundered Delhi and kept Muhammad Shah captive temporarily. Then in 1738, Maratha defeated the large Mughal army led by Nizam, and then in 1739 they signed a Treaty of Bhopal where the extracted Suba of the Malwa and sovereignty over all territory between river Chambal and Narmada. Invasion of Nadir Shah. Reason for invasion. In Afghanistan, Nadir Shah opponents were given protection by the Mughals in Mughal-controlled territory. His messenger was held captive in Delhi. Nadir Shah wanted to plunder Indian wealth. Reason for Nadir Shah win. Mughal were military weak. Example, Maratha defeated the large Mughal army in 1738. Lack of military reform, technology and organization. Military corruption by the Mansabdar due to the Jagirdari crisis. Sadat Ali Khan, Nawab of Awadh, switched sides to fight alongside Nadir Shah when she was not made Mir Bakshi and the Mansab was given to Nizam. Therefore, fractionalism played a role. The better military leadership of Nadir Shah. The decisive was the Battle of Karnal in 1739, after which Nadir Shah became Emperor of India for 2 months, and Muhammad Shah was taken as a prisoner. Sadat Ali Khan committed suicide when insulted post-victory by the Nadir Shah. Class 4. Impact of Nadir Shah invasion. Huge loss of prestige for the Mughals. Muhammad Shah lost the respect of the Mansabdars as did not stand up for his dignity despite insult by Nadir Shah. Lost prestige among people as Nadir Shah massacred 2 lakh civilians in Delhi. Therefore, people realized that the Mughals can't protect them. Loss of military prestige as it was a huge military defeat soon after the defeat by the Marathas in 1738. Huge economic loss, and now the Mughals could not maintain a strong army. Nadir Shah took away Peacock throne that had Kohinoor in it, a huge loot of elephant and workers, and a huge wealth worth 100 crores. Therefore, Mansabdars were also drained of wealth as they had contribute to the loot. It is not a coincidence that Nizam left Delhi permanently for Hyderabad in 1740. Also, fear of Marathas west of Hyderabad. Now, chances of foreign invasion increased. 1748 First Afghan invasion by Abdalis. 1756 to Second Afghan invasion by Abdali. 1790 and Third Afghan invasion by Jaman Shah. More proofs of the decline of the Mughals. First Afghan invasion failed. However, the fear of future invasion remained. Therefore, in the 1752, Mughals come under the protection of the Marathas, who were now the top power in India. Shahu recognized the authority of the Mughal Empire, accepted a mansab, and promised to maintain the army as Mansabdar. Alamgir II was a puppet brought to power Marathas by the interfering in succession dispute. Therefore, by the mid-18th century, Marathas were top power along with the strong autonomous states, that is, successor state of Bengal, Hyderabad and Awadh. Rebel states like Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Afghan, and already autonomous states like Rajput, Mysore and Travancore. While the Mughal emperor's authority was limited to declined and Agra. Successor state. They included Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, Hyderabad, Nizam-ul-Mulk and Awadh, Sadat Ali Khan. Within the Mughal Empire, certain powerful nobles established themselves as an autonomous power, centers by the carving out the successor state within the Mughal Empire. That is, they ruled autonomously but never formally broke ties with the Mughal Empire. This was because of personal ambition in Delhi politics, that is, the desire for greater influence outside their principalities by the holding position like Wazir, Mir Bakshi, etc. They also wanted the legitimacy of the Mughal Empire for better trade with the rest of the Mughal Empire and the potential of military help from the rest of the Mughal Empire. These nobles, after the getting appointment as a governors, consolidated power by the ending the system of checks and balances, therefore leading to the cover concentration of power. They ensured that then they ensured that their relatives and loyalties were appointed to the important position / mansabs like Diwan, Deputy Subedar, War Commander, and their important positions. For example, Sadat Ali Khan got his son-in-law Safdar Jung appointed as a deputy Subedar, and Murshid Quli Khan was already Diwan when he was appointed as a Subedar slash Nawab slash Governor of Bengal Suba. They gathered the support of economically powerful sections like intermediary zamindars, ijaradars slash revenue farmer, merchants, money lenders, and bankers by not harassing them, not applying arbitrary taxes, by proving law and order stability that was good for trade, by providing security of property, distributing mansab, which was a new feature as a traditionally mean man of money were not made. Mansabdar had a nobles based on the lineage dominated the Mansabdari system traditionally. Therefore, there was a rise of men of money in successor state. For example, by 1727, 15 intermediary zamindar were responsible for 50% of land revenue collection. The house of Jagat Seth became a strong financial power, and the Dutch described Jagat Seth as the richest banker in the world. Jagat Seth controlled the royal mint, acted as a banker for the Nawab, loaned money to the Nawab, and the finance trade all across the India, loaned money to the merchants. In Hyderabad, the core feature of the Mansabdari system changed as men of money now dominated the Mansabdari system. They converted Tankha Jagir into Watan Jagir to get the support of pre-existing Mansabdars. Example, in Hyderabad, core feature of the Tankha Jagir vanished as many were converted into Watan Jagir. They established effective revenue administration and his increased their monetary power. For example, Murshid Quli Khan was known for its effective revenue administration and did not detailed survey and they sorry and did detailed survey for land revenue assessment, that is the identify the soil productivity, irrigation, available crops on past trends, and the land revenue collection and the area under the production, therefore demanding land revenue. Then they began ruling autonomously as a distributed mansabs and jagirs without permission or reference to the Mughal emperor, and the behaved autonomously in the important matter like matters of war and peace, signing treaties with the neighbors, domestic policy, etc. They gradually produced financial reporting of revenue collected to Delhi, that is, books of account were not sent. They also stopped sending revenue regularly to Delhi and later also reduced the amount of revenue and finally stopped it. Finally, these nobles established their dynastic rule, and therefore Mughal emperor lost power in the successor state, and the appointment of the Mansabdar is important. The Mughal empire lost power to act as a partner, and therefore even the partner-client relationship that led to personal loyalty instead of impersonal loyalty also ended as the client itself became a partner. However, power was not centralized and was shared between different segments, Nawab slash Subadar and man of money and traditional Mansabdar. Noble states: Marathas, Sikhs, Jat and Afghan. Maratha kingdom was founded by the Chhatrapati Shivaji in 1767, declared himself Chhatrapati, legally independent from Mughal, unlike successor state in second half of the 17th century by fighting against Bijapur and Aurangzeb. Periods of Maratha polity: 1680 to 1719, period of instability after the death of Shivaji in 1680. 1719 to 1761, period of stability and growth. 1761 onwards, period of the decline with the temporary revival in the 1770. 1774 onwards, British influence in Maratha polity began. 1680 onwards, there was turmoil. 1780 onwards, there was turmoil due to the death of Shivaji. It is right. 1680 onwards, there was turmoil due to death of Shivaji and continuous warfare of Aurangzeb. ध्यान से पढ़ना, ठीक है. After the release of Shahu in 1707, there was a civil war. During the civil war, Deshmukh and Maratha Sardars frequently switched sides between Tarabai, Shahu and Mughals. The important role of the sixth Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath was a very able leader and helped Shahu gather the support of powerful section, support of a strong Brahmin banking family. तुम्हारे फैमिली support of new independent Maratha Sardar. Therefore, by the 1719, Shahu emerged victories leading to a period of stability and growth. The dispute with Shivaji II was settled via the Treaty of Varna in 1731, where he was given Kolhapur. Peshwa was PM/Wazir and was one of the 8 ministers in the Council of Chhatrapati. Maratha Sardar: Scindia of Gwalior, Bhosle of Nagpur, Holkar of Indore. Gaikwad of Brodra. Class 5. Maratha continued. Military rise of Maratha. In 1719, Marathas allied with the Sayyid brother of the Hindustani group to remove Farrukhsiyar and place Muhammad Shah as a puppet ruler. In return, they got independent status in Maharashtra. Shahu recognized the authority of the Mughal emperor. Therefore, independent here means autonomous, like successor state that is not legally but in practice. Chauth: 1/4 of revenue of the Malwa and Gujarat. Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi: 1/10 the revenue of 6 Mughal province of Deccan. However, Nizam got rid of the Sayyid brothers and restored the status of Muhammad Shah and then became governor of Hyderabad in 1727. Therefore, Marathas lost the gain made. In 1727 to 28, Baji Rao sent an army to Gujarat and extracted the right to 60% of revenue of Gujarat from its Mughal governor. In 1728, Baji Rao defeated Hyderabad and regained Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi of Deccan. Chauth is 1/4 of the revenue and Sardesh Mukhi is 1/10 of the revenue. Chauth was a tool of foreign policy and only applied to non-Marathas territory in return for Marathas protection. That is, the protected estate gave one-fourth of the revenue to prevent features Marathas attracts on itself. When the protected estate could not pay chauth anymore, it lost protection and was they annexed the Marathas. Swardesh Mukhi was introduced by the Chhatrapati Shivaji. Swardesh Mukhi gave one-tenth of the revenue as a symbol of recognizing his authority as a Swardesh Mukh headed by the Deshmukh. Swardesh Mukhi can be applied to Maratha and non-Maratha territory. In 1731, Marathas defeated a joint attack by Nizam and the local chief of Gujarat. In 1729, captured Malwa and reached Rajasthan. In 1736, defeated Portuguese and Ethiopian Muslims at the Konkan coast. This signified the noble strength of the Marathas. In 1737, Bazi Rao plundered Delhi and kept Muhammad Shah temporarily captive. In 1738, Maratha defeated a large Mughal army led by Nizam and then signed a treaty of Bhopal in 1739, where they got the Suba of Malwa and sovereignty over all territory between rivers Chambal and Narmada. During 1745 to 51, Raghuji Bhosle of Nagpur regularly attacked Bengal, Suba and forced Alwardi Khan to give Orissa and Chauth of Bengal and Bihar. Chauth was paid until 1757, after which EIC controlled Bengal, Suba and Marathas lost Orissa to the British /EIC in the Second Anglo-Maratha War in 1803–05. In 1751, Nana Sahib attacked Hyderabad territory in Konkan and signed the Treaty of Balke, where the Salabat Jung gave Khandesh to Marathas. From 1751 onwards, Marathas regularly attacked Rajputs. They extracted annual tributes and interfered in succession, but could never convincingly defeated Rajput, therefore did not try for annexation. In 1752, Mughals come under Marathas' protection due to fear of Afghan invasion. First Afghan invasion in 1748, second in 1556–61, and third in 1799 by Jaman Shah. In 1754, Marathas interfered in Mughal succession and placed Alamgir II as a puppet emperor. In 1765, Marathas defeated Mysore and extracted tributes. In 1766, Hyderabad gave northern Sarkars to EIC in return for military protection from Marathas and Mysore. In 1795, Battle of Kharda was the last battle between the Marathas and Hyderabad, where the Marathas emerged victorious. EIC stayed neutral as it also had a military alliance with the Marathas since the Treaty of Salbai in 1782, that is called Doglapan. In 1798, Hyderabad became the first state to sign a subsidiary/subordinate alliance with EIC, where it lost control over the foreign policy and military to EIC and returned got military protection of EIC. Maratha failed to defeat Sikhs. Therefore, by the mid-18th century, Maratha emerged as the top power in India, and it was the Third Battle of Panipat that halted their rise, and thereafter their decline began. Third Battle of Panipat 1761. It was fought between Ahmad Shah Abdali/Durrani. He was the founder of modern Afghanistan and of the Durrani Empire. A trusted commander of Nadir Shah declared himself king of Afghanistan. After Nadir Shah's death began first Afghan invasion in 1748 that failed, began second Afghan invasion that concluded in Third Battle of Panipat. He was supported by the Siraj-ud-Dawla, Nawab of He was supported by Shuja-ud-Dawla, Nawab of Awadh, who wanted to weaken Maratha. Najib-ud-Dawla, ruler of Rohilkhand, Farrukhabad under Bangabas Pathan, Jats under Surajmal temporarily supported Maratha. Mughals only technically, as Mughals come under Maratha's protection due to fear of Afghan invasion. Thus, mainly only Marathas were on the other side. Reason for the battle: the conflict between two rising neighboring power, that is Maratha in the India and Abdali in Afghanistan. In 1756, Afghan raided northern India and Abdali appointed his son Timur Shah as a governor of Punjab. Nana Sahib sent his brother, who defeated and removed Timur from Lahore. This was the peak of the Maratha Empire. Now Nana Sahib vowed of making his son Vishwas Rao Emperor of India. Those Mughals who were anti-Maratha had earlier requested the help of Abdali. Attack by Abdali culminated in the Third Battle of Panipat. Why Abdali won? The stronger alliance by the Abdali Awadh, supported by Abdali as a wanted to weaken the Marathas, who were its rival, therefore declined to support Marathas. Rohillas and Bangabas Pathan expected greater influence in North India if Abdali won. Sikhs, Rajput and Jat stayed neutral due to constant plundering in the past by the Maratha. Therefore, Maratha failed to convince other Indian powers. A higher number of soldiers, 60,000 versus 50,000. Disunity between Maratha Sardar, for example, Bhosle of Nagpur, did not fight, therefore factionalism played a role. The better military leadership of the Abdali forces had better artillery, for example, horses, mounted gun. Abdali's forces were successful in cutting off the supply lines between the Delhi and Panipat, and therefore famine-like conditions existed in the Maratha camp in Panipat, with no food for men and no fodder for horses, while Afghan supply routes stayed functional. Marathas' hallmark strategy of guerrilla warfare was not suited for the vast plain field of Panipat. Impact of losses: Maratha lost important leaders like Sadasiv Rao Bhau and Vishwas Rao died fighting, while Nana Sahib died within the weeks of the Third Battle of Panipat. Now factionalism began in Maratha politics, leading to the weakening of the central authority. Maratha got military weakened as they lost important leaders and 50,000 men. Abdali returned to Afghanistan with loot as there was a revolt in his army in Afghanistan. An anti-Abdali military general planned a coup in Afghanistan. Thus, Third Battle of Panipat decided who will not rule India and not who will rule India. Now there was a vacuum of the power at the center that was filled later by EIC by defeating multiple regional wars of India one by one. Why were so many empires shaking battles fought in the Panipat? Were not fought for the city of Panipat but because their region was the gateway to Delhi. Anyone who wanted to capture Delhi from the west had to pass through the Khyber passes in Afghanistan and then enter India via Punjab. For the ruler of Delhi, strategically it was best to stop the enemy at the gates. That is in this region, having Panipat, Karnal, Kurukshetra and Thanesar. This region had vast field suitable for large armies. This region had the many warrior classes making military recruitment easy for the army. This region was the agriculturally productive and close to Delhi, therefore easy supplies for fighting men. Suitable weather for the long battles. Muhammad of Ghazni fought in Thanesar in 1014 and his empire extended from Iran to Pakistan by 1030. Gauri fought Prithvi Raj in Thanesar in 1191. First battle of Panipat led to the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the establishment of the Mughal Empire. Second Battle of Panipat led to the re-establishment of the Mughal Empire. The Battle of Karnal led to the Nadir Shah becoming emperor for 60 days. Third Battle of Panipat prevented Maratha from the becoming an all-India power. Thank you very much.